everybody. Shane Terrio back at you, joining you again. Thank you for tuning in today, sharing your time, your valuable YouTube viewing time with me. Hey, if you haven't done it already, please like, subscribe. I'm really trying to build the channel, and I love all your comments and everything. But if you haven't done it yet, I really appreciate it if you get something out of this. All right, today I'm going to talk about creating rhythm parts. And it's half a lesson, but it's also half the lesson is talking about some concepts that I think you should really start thinking about if you're interested in this kind of thing. And one of them is simplicity is your friend. Okay, embrace simplicity. What do I mean by that? Well, you know, when you're coming up with parts as guitar players, I've said this in the past few episodes, and if you watch my channel, how we're guilty of guitar head. What does that mean? Well, man, I see that chord chart. There's an A minor 7. Man, I have 20 fat, juicy voicings, right? I got all these things I want to plug in. I got all this stuff I can do with my right hand and overplay this or that. And when you're actually playing with a singer in a band, I'm sure most of you do that out there. If you're playing on records, if you're playing, you know, on recordings like I do every week, you need to know how to come up with parts. This is something I learned really early on when I was really young. One of my first label recording sessions for a label, the great Barry Beckett was producing. And so I went over to do some overdubs, and the tracks were already cut. I think Dean Parks played most of the guitar parts, and I was coming in to play a few solos and a few extra parts. And I'm playing over it, and I'm playing way too much. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't the right parts. And Barry kept saying, nah, try this, try this, try that. And then I hit on something where I just started playing really simply. I was listening to the vocal more. I was playing around the vocal. What a concept. And it was just some high kind of weepy notes, but it was the way it was placed. All of a sudden the track just boom, I felt it. And Barry goes, that's it. Now you hit on something. He goes, I want you to listen what you did. And he hit play. We listened to it, and he goes, now that's working. When you're playing above that 12th fret, stay up there, do this, this. And a light bulb went off, and I went, wow, that was a lesson that day. And of all people to teach you the lesson, the great Barry Beckett. I mean, the Muscle Shoals legend guy, all the Aretha Franklin stuff he played on, and rest in peace. Anyway, years later, another producer, same thing. He told me, he's like, Shane, don't be afraid of simplicity. And that's what I'm telling you there, you know, today. Of course, I think another producer told me, don't be afraid of cliches is what makes the business. I don't know about that one. But let's apply this to guitar. So what was that progression I was playing? It was A minor 7, 1 bar, E minor 7, 2 bars of D minor 7. That's it, right? And what I did was I used, in 1 minute, I gave you 3 different approaches that I might take if somebody wanted an R&B style thing. And, you know, maybe the producer might go, I hear this a lot, just do some Paul Jackson kind of stuff on it. Paul Jackson Jr., right? Paul Jackson is the bass player. Paul Jackson Jr., great guitar player, played on, you know, a lot of the Michael Jackson stuff along with David T. Williams and some of those other guys you may know. So you want to have that in your arsenal of guitar tricks. And what I did there, I'm just taking that a little 3, 4, 1. That's coming straight out of A minor pentatonic. Now there I used the double stop. 5th fret, 3rd and 2nd strings. And then 3rd fret, 2nd string, 4th fret, 3rd string. That works in A minor. But what I really want you to get out of this is not so much that lick. I want you to get the concept of the part. Now I could have just done this over the whole track. Right? And it's way too busy. It doesn't help the song. There's no space. There's no contour to it. Maybe that's what a producer or an artist wants. I doubt it. I would never play that. But what I did, and it's not the greatest part ever, but check it out. just right there, that's a melody. It's got an A-B section, a question and answer. And then space. It answers itself. There's space. So a couple of lessons. There's a melodic contour to it. There's space there. Just enough space. The track is interesting. It's got life to it. And that's a cool part that you call a hook. You know, that's a hooky part. Like all those great Michael Jackson records have tons of that stuff all over those records. These guys were geniuses at that. So that's the first thing I did. Now, the next thing I went into was what I call the Nile Rodgers kind of chic style, right? Le chic. And that's A minor, just A minor. I'm not outlining chords. 3, 4, 1, 3. Now notice, I was doing a little bit, but I'm not going. I'm not doing constant. I'm making it really tight, and I'm leaving space. Now, when you do that, the track breathes. It's got some space to it. And the keyboard player and the bass player, the drummer, they're all going to love you for doing that. Trust me. And that makes you sound better automatically. You're not overplaying. It's just enough to propel the track. So that's another approach. That's just fifth fret, 4th, 3rd, 2nd to 7th fret. And I'm doing a little hammer. Now, the third approach is also very important, and this is another tip. Now, again, this lesson isn't as much about the playing part. I want you to get the concepts. So some of the best ideas when you're in the studio for hooks or coming up with parts are coming from the singer or the composer. Maybe they're not a guitar player, even better, because they're reaching from somewhere else. They're not in guitar head, like I like to say. They may sing a part that's kind of weird to play on guitar, but it makes a really unique part. And they may sing something. That's a melodic part. That's what I would call outlining the chords, and that's something a singer would come up with. They might go, you know what? If you could do the melody, if you could do that during the hook and maybe come up with a part with my melody, and they might sing da 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 da, and you go, okay, A minor, E minor, D minor. And then you can add your guitar stuff on top. So I added a little chorus, or actually delay and a little tremolo. D minor. And that's a beautiful little part that's really effective. It's very simple, but it's just enough. And sometimes when you're in the studio, and this helps whether you're a weekend warrior player, you know, you're playing your top 40 band, it's all applicable. You think you're playing not enough, it's usually either too much or just right. So you don't, play less than you think unless you're asked otherwise. That's what I'm trying to say. Play less than you think unless you're asked otherwise. Sometimes somebody may go, no, man, play. Then you play. But, sometimes less is more. A lot of the time it is. A lot of the time. Sometimes I go see Mike Landau here in LA, and I've got to hang with him a bit, and I watch him the way he plays with James Taylor and stuff. It's just, and he's come to my gigs too. But when I watch him play, man, it's just restraint, but not in a forceful, not in a contrived way. It's just enough, and it's so effective. So listen to those guys. I hope any of this made sense to you today. I think it should. But if you like any of this, hey, I'm really trying to build the channel. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe. I appreciate it. And if you like this stuff, I am working on some rhythm guitar courses. I'm going to go into all this in depth with all the play-alongs and everything. Hit me up on my website. You can sign up for the mailing list, and I'll keep you posted. And I love your comments. So Terrio out. See you next time.